Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt,
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
and this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time.
As always, we want to give a shout out to our feral venerator of Soirain, Lurks. Thank you so much for supporting us. That is very much appreciated. And we've talked a lot about Season 1 of the Wheel of Time show, and we've alluded to what we want to see in Season 2, but not in a whole lot of detail. But today, we're ready to take a deep dive into that and to share our hopes and our dreams for the next season. Spoilers, it's gonna be gay.
Is it too? Is it going to be gay?
It better be.
It better be. So I guess we could start with how gay we want it to be.
Yeah, I think that's a no better starting off point than that.
Maximum gayness. Maximum.
I mean, if I don't see Maxim balls deep in Yvonne, then I don't even know what the point is.
Oh my god.
Jesus, this is starting well.
Well, Wheel of Time is a Christian show, so no thank you.
a good Christian Baptist show.
It is.
It's not porn if it's just on Amazon Prime.
I want to be baptized in Randall Thor Baptist style.
That doesn't surprise me.
You want to be baptized in a river of his cum?
Oh.
Ew! No.
Oh.
That's disgusting. That is...
Oh.
Title of the episode, 1 minute into the gay.
I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna I think this is it for me. I think that's
same.
it for me. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have to.
Oh no, we are not quitting every week. I am tired of hearing you saying that you're going to quit on the podcast.
James, baby doll, there's something called metaphor. Metaphors are not meant to be taken literally. So I'm going to need you to dial down whatever it is that you're on right now, because...
That's homophobic.
Well, you know, sometimes homophobia is needed. Sometimes it's needed.
Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes we deserve it.
Sometimes we deserve it.
Anyway.
Okay, Camille.
Please reel us back in.
Yes. So, yes, I am trying. So, Kat, if I was to ask you what gay stuff you want to see in the second season of The Wheel of Time, what would that be? And I know, James, that my sentence was very weird. You don't need to laugh about that too.
I'm not laughing. I am just enjoying. I am admiring
Finish it.
your ability to get us back on track, despite the fact that I am a mess.
Well, they have practice.
Well, yeah. After 8 episodes? No, more.
8 episodes? This is episode 12, honey.
How time flies.
We just released episode 7.
Time isn't real anymore.
Okay. Kat, what do you want to see in season 2 for gayness that isn't being baptized in cum?
God.
That is not going to be the title of the episode.
That's not going to be... I was just going to say, it cannot be the title of this episode. I refuse. I will veto that so hard.
You just have to propose another title, Kat. We've been waiting for title from you and I.
Yeah, we gotta work on this. We'll workshop it. We'll find something that has God. We have to find something that's better than that.
Well, when the bar's in hell.
Well, this is the thing. What was the question? I don't remember anymore. Every time James says the word "come," I lose everything. My brain goes blank.
Come?
Well, it's fine when Camille and I or Kat say it.
When Camille says it, it's fine.
Because I probably say it with a weird accent.
Maybe.
So,
Accent? You even say the word accent with an accent?
accent.
Accent.
Yes, I said it in French way. Fuck you.
Guys, it's very important that we get back on track here, okay?
Yes. Okay. What gay stuff do I want?
Kat, what would you like to see in season 2?
I want gay pining. That is what I want. Gay pining.
Yes. You're not developing it, so I'm going to say I want to see... I'm pretty sure... Okay, I'm not pretty sure, but I'm not very hopeful that Moraine and Swan will get to see each other.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll be wrong. I'll be very happy to be wrong.
Me too.
But I don't think they're going to see each other in next season.
I agree.
But I want it to be very obvious that they are thinking about each other.
Mhm.
So either through like side comments made
Mhm.
by other people and they react to that in a certain way. I don't know, Rand talking about the Merlin seats to Moraine.
Yeah.
Lan mentioning Swan to Moraine.
Mm-hmm. I would love for like Elaine to show up in the tower. Like, Elaine shows up in the tower. Swan immediately makes the connection and just has like a moment where she's like, oh God. like, or like Elaine says something that reminds her of Moraine, maybe.
Oh no, another Damodred. Fuck.
Yeah. Another one? Cool. Cool.
Cool.
I'm just saying, if they introduced a lesbian gateway to Rangreal. If they don't make use of that in season 2, I'm gonna be pissed.
Then what's the point?
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it's kind of lore breaking, but also lesbian gateway to Rangreal. I don't give a shit.
No.
I don't care.
I'm fine with. I'm going to say something that's maybe going to be a little sacrilegious to some people in the
Controversial
fandom.
yet brave.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Controversial yet brave. I don't really care that much about lore breaking stuff for the most part. Within reason, it doesn't bother me nearly as much as I think it bothers others within the fandom.
Agree.
And so if it's my thinking is like, if it's cool, and if it makes sense within the story that they're telling on the show, maybe not necessarily in the books, but on the show, if it makes sense, I'm good with it. And so, lesbian Terangriel, I love it.
Yeah, I'm all for the lesbian Terangriel, especially if they don't really know what it is. It seems like it's something that's very limited use. As long as there's no internal lore breaking.
Yes.
Which, by that, I mean the lore that they create in the show has absolutely got to be consistent.
Yes.
I hate it when fantasy shows are like, oh, so, okay, well, we had X, Y, and Z last season, but surprise, now it's A, B, and D.
With like retconning, you mean?
Yeah, like retconning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially considering that they have all the books, so they can, in advance, know, like, they don't need to do any sort of retconning. Robert Jordan did a few retconning, I would say.
Yes.
He was a very naughty boy.
Regarding the magic, but he also didn't know the end.
I would be okay with a small amount of retconning for clarification purposes, like the burning out.
Okay.
Not really like retconning, it's just more clarifying what we were supposed to see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because even Rafe said that scene didn't come across as well as he intended.
Yeah.
Because that's not retconning, really.
Yeah.
It's just clarifying that it's a misinterpretation, an understandable misinterpretation of what happened in the scene. And like when you know all of the stuff all the shit that went on with them trying to get everything filmed for episodes 7 and 8, I'm surprised that they got out what they were able to get out. But
well, and I'm also curious about the lesbian gateway to Rangreal, like if it can be moved. I'm assuming it could be. But then why wouldn't Moraine have taken it on, like, her journey? Just because she knew, like, Swan would be mad, probably? I don't know.
Yeah.
It may be a big thing. Like, I don't know. It's...
Maybe.
It's, like, physically difficult to move.
Maybe.
Maybe Nynaeve sneaks it out of the tower. Like, Nynaeve knows that they're fucking.
Yes.
She doesn't.
So Nynaeve, when they run away, I want her to pick up on
Me
it,
too.
though.
I want someone to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that to happen, and I want her to, like, smuggle it out of the tower somehow and be like, look, I hate you, you stupid cunt, but you should still see your wife. So here you go. And then I want nothing to be said.
Well, we just lost our American viewers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gay, so that doesn't count.
Oh my heavens.
I didn't cut the joke.
The word cunt is offensive.
In the United States.
Okay.
Kimmy's like, okay.
Is it more offensive than the ton of shit we are saying every day? I don't know.
Oh, does that count as Matt talking about getting canceled on Twitter?
No.
Oh, damn it. I was like, you didn't do it at all last episode.
I'm so sorry, baby doll.
That's the second time you've called James baby doll. Do we need a baby doll counter this episode?
Maybe. I don't know. It's my new, okay, how would James pronounce it? Patronizing way of fussing at them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, can we go back to the topic at hand? Because it's already 11 minutes.
I know. Our viewers, we're sorry. We skipped last week, and this week we're all feral today. Not just Matt. We're all feral.
Yeah.
But I also, we're talking about queerness in the next season. I want more gays. Not the queen. I don't care about her.
More gays.
I
mean, fuck her drag, right? Jeez.
The whole her and Talonvor thing or whatever, I don't give a shit. But I would love for us to get some more queer men in the show as main characters, either through introduced characters or through established characters. And this is no shade against Yvonne and Maxim because they're fantastic and I love them. But also they're warders, which means there's a potential for them to die. And that makes me feel bad. And also, I want a main cast member, male, who is gay. We have Moraine, and I want a guy. And I think Galad and Logain are good candidates for that because their sexual orientation doesn't really matter in the books. We wouldn't be changing any, big time. Okay, spoilers for about the next 15 seconds. Galad ends up with Barrelane, and it just makes no sense and comes out of left field. And it could be cut. It should be cut because it just wasn't that great. In spoilers.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm actually curious. Well, no. Because Barrelane fits such a very stereotypical thing. Like, she's the head of a city, but like she's using her femininity and gets slut-shamed for that. So for a second, I was like, maybe if we should gender swap her so that, like, Galad ends up being gay. But I'm like, but at the same time, I would rather keep Barrelane but not have her slut-shamed than
Yeah. I want Barrelane because I feel like she has potential, Yeah. She has potential to be cool if they do it properly.
I agree, but I also want a slutty man.
Yeah.
I do want a slutty man. I also think...
You have Matt?
Yes.
No, doesn't count. Matt doesn't count. Matt is straight.
Why? No, why does it? Explain. Why doesn't that count?
Because I want slutty I want gay slutty man.
I see. Okay.
And also, Matt Cawthon is currently not a man. He's currently a nasty dumpster goblin looking thing. So
that is Matt throughout the entire fucking series.
Yeah.
He doesn't do an Aragorn where he's like ranger in the streets, king in the sheet, or what?
Flip
it, reverse it.
Now that I have a platform through this podcast, I'm going to go on another hope for season 2. Matt Cawthon does not have a beard or facial hair in the books. It is clearly stated that Matt Cawthon cannot grow facial hair, and yet we have it in the show. I'm fine with all the changes that they've made to the show so far. It all makes sense. But Matt Cawthon is a little twink fuckboy, and they just changed it. And I cannot accept it. And they need to shave Matt down, shave his raccoon-looking furry self.
Why do men have an obsession with hair?
It's an excellent question, Camille.
I don't know.
Either the presence or the absence of it.
Anyways, shave Matt Cawthon.
We don't freaking care about the beard.
Well, that's you.
The show is twink erasure.
It is twink erasure.
Anyway, can we go back to the topic about season 2?
Yes, I think we've so we've done a lot of talking in past episodes about queerness and our hopes for queerness in the next season. So I think there's not a whole lot for us to dive into with that.
So I forgot to write it down, but since we were mentioning Elaine, if they intend to go on the polyamorous side, I would like to make it clear that that girl is bisexual from the start.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have her have like boy crush and girl crush and
that would be cool.
Just like she sees another novice in the tower and she's like, ooh, she's cute. And then she sees one of the tower guards and she's like, oh, he's cute. She's like, she starts singing, what is this feeling?
And so flooded the basements of Camelin.
Have a flirt with like either Nynaeve or Egwene, and the other two are like,
are you kidding me?
That would be amazing.
I would love it. I think it should be I think if she's gonna flirt with someone, it should be Nynaeve, because spoilers, they go on the most wacky and chaotic adventures together. And just to have that as the foundation of their relationship, it would just be delicious.
I agree.
So good. And just take a second and imagine Nynaeve's face when she realizes that Elaine is flirting with her.
Oh, Zoe would just do so well. I need it.
It would be so good.
Did we break James?
No, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on like twink erasure. Like I'm real sorry. Like I tweeted about it.
Oh, come on. No. Did you at least mute your mic while you were tweeting about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I'm not a monster.
James does the right thing.
No, it's fine. I was just like, it just says Matt Cawthon's beard is twink erasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, I had to purposefully say that as not erasure because last time you were mean to me.
For not speaking properly, yeah. And?
So, I want to talk a little bit about the Galwyn. Sorry, I always pronounced it gone because I want him gone.
This pronunciation I can get behind.
And Matt scene, like, I want to see them all hot and sweaty.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for the quarterstaff scene?
When they're all shirtless with quarterstaffs. Like, I don't even need it to be explicitly queer. Mm-hmm. Just have Rafe in on that scene.
Yeah.
And just be like, how hard am I right now watching this?
This is a good time to bring back, it's great that, queer media has had so many advances and there's no more need for subtext and homoeroticism, but bring back the homoeroticism for this scene. Like, bring it back hard and shiny.
Like, I want every gay man on that set to be able to watch that scene. Just
rock hard.
Just completely turgid.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good word.
Okay, so before I cut you to talk about Elaine, I think you wanted to mention something, Matt.
Me?
This is why I'm not allowed in public, everyone.
Oh, yes, I did. The budget and the production, and just generally, I am looking forward to seeing what the show can do without COVID being a new and uncertain thing. Because, as we all know,
a lot had to be changed because of COVID, and they had a lot of budget restriction because of that. They lost actors. Multiple actors, not just Matt. They lost a lot of location and it sucks. So, I mean, I still enjoyed the season. I know a lot of people were a lot more critical, especially about episode 8. And I want the show to get its chance to show what they can do without this type of constraint.
Totally. Exactly, I agree. And I am one of those episode 8. I don't want to say detractors. There were a lot of just amazing moments in season 8.
Season 8?
I mean, episode 8. So I do this all the time. Like I tell my friends, I wrote 7,000 words today. When I really meant, 7,000 pages today. See, and when I meant to say it wrong, I accidentally said it correctly. Anyways, I had a lot of issues with episode 8. It was my least favorite by far. Mm-hmm. And I think most of that is due to the situation they were in, so I don't necessarily blame them. Some of the choices I don't know that can be chalked up to COVID rewrites, but it is what it is. And taking a fair look at it, there was a lot about that episode that I enjoyed, and it had more wrong with it, to me, in my opinion, than any other episode. But one thing I'm looking forward to a lot in season 2 is... And James mentioned retconning a bit earlier, and I don't necessarily want to see a retcon so much as an expansion of some of those themes that just sort of got yeeted into episode 8. and an explanation of those things like the channeling. I've seen somewhere that there's a question even of whether, oh my God, his name is blanking. The general, one of the 5 great generals, he's
Agelmar.
Yes, Agelmar, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, Agelmar. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Agelmar, yeah. There are some theories that he's still alive based on the actor's posting. And if that's the case, I'm glad because I like him. But I kind of want to see, I don't know. There's a lot that I think the show needs to course correct from episode 8, but I think they can do it, and I'm really excited to see what they can do now that they have a chance to have their show without the uncertainty of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's like, it's going to be interesting to see. And yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think they were hindered a lot by a lot of things that were really out of their control. And I genuinely feel, I feel bad for them because I know that a lot of the things that happen, it's not how they envisioned the show when, like they were writing different scenes and coming up with plot lines and, like looking for location, all of that stuff. It's not what they intended and what they wanted. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what they're able to do with this here and how they're able to continue to bring to life this world. Because for me anyway, the second book is really where I got invested in this world, in the series. There's just like a lot of really kind of iconic scenes and iconic moments that happen that really cement what the series is going to be. And then that continues on into book 3 as well. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what the increase in budget. And then also, 10 minutes in an episode makes a huge difference. An extra 10 minutes, it can make all the difference in the world.
I don't think it's going to be 10 minutes. We may have 5 minutes, but that's not going to be... But like 5 minutes per episode, it's already a full episode by the end of the season.
Yeah. It makes a difference. Yeah.
I'm also curious as to like the budget increase and how much of that is going to go towards like the CGI because I know there's at Falm there's like that epic thing of people in the sky and I get that it's important to like Rand being the Dragon Reborn and like when he does that, that's the moment that the armies fail and stuff, and I get it, but I don't want, unless it's done super fucking well, I don't know if I want to see that in the show.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be better to spread that out a little bit everywhere else than on like a 15-20 minute magic sky battle.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sky battle is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, but it's also one of those rare book scenes that just almost can't be done well, no matter how good your CGI is. Not to bring in Rings of Power in, but with their budget, I don't even know if they could do it.
No.
It would just look silly.
Yeah.
Even if it reads really cool, it would look silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like holograms fighting in the sky. Like, prove me wrong, Rafe.
I would love to be, if they find a way to do it that looks good, I'm all for it. But it's so far away from what human beings are able to do. It's just like it's just not, putting aside the magic thing, because magic, like that's something, I think that's a doable thing, especially the magic system with Wheel of Time, like with channeling. I think it actually looks good, and I think it got better as they went along in the seasons, and I think it will get even better in season 2 as we get more into like the intricacies of it. But like, a sky battle, it's I don't know.
But I'm sure a lot of people are going to complain if they don't get it.
Oh, bring on their stupid hatred.
No, they can go shove a cactus up their twats.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you know what? They would complain even more if they did it and then it ended up looking terrible.
They're going to complain either way.
Yeah, either way. Yeah.
People are miserable.
And they're addicted to misery. But I think I trust Rafe at this point to give us a version of that scene. And I certainly do think that some CGI will be necessary. But I do agree with James that I would like to see the CGI spread out a bit, because in season 1, some of the CGI was, oh my God, this is amazing. Did they actually is this actually CGI or is it real? And some of it was like, oh boy, We're back in the 90s.
But like, especially the last 2 episodes, but like, they just ran out of time.
Yeah.
They ran out of time and money,
Yeah.
and the VFX teams like everywhere were like
They were
overbooked and
overworked.
So speaking of ways to introduce queerness into season 2, Lanfear.
oh yes,
Like literally the most beautiful woman in the entire world. You think she don't lick puss? She lick puss.
Of course she does.
Or make Lanfear a dude. Because Luz and Lan...
I would be so mad.
You would not be alone in that. I think there would be a decent part of the fandom that would just implode.
They would be so mad.
Matt. Is she having also a crush on Luz Therin?
Okay.
Or another for a second. And that's the reason why they joined the Shadow.
Ooh, or maybe Lanfear wasn't after Luz Therin at all. Lanfear was after Ilyena.
Oh.
And then Luz Therin killed Ilyena. Rafe, are you listening?
Get on this. On this. Make it happen.
I'm just really looking forward to Lanfear because I was in the shower earlier today singing Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights like I do very often.
I love it.
And I was like,
as one does.
Yes, of course.
Changing the lyrics to like, what if it was Lanfear singing to Rand? And now I have to work on a version of Wuthering Heights that is Lanfear to Rand, and it's going to be fun.
There you go.
I don't know why I'm saying that to people on a podcast, but anyways.
Well, now it's out there, and now we're going to ask about it, is what's going to happen.
That's true. That's very true. If only I had Kate Bush's pitchy vocals. Unfortunately, I don't.
Oh, honey, you're plenty pitchy.
Anyways. Moving on to, I guess, the next thing we wanted to talk about was plot.
Just the plot in general. There's a bunch of different elements about the plot that we wanted to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The second season should be a merge between book 2 and book 3. We don't really know what of those 2 books will happen. We do know something from a few things from book 1 will still appear because we still have to introduce Elaine and Gawain and Galad.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to. I'm sorry to tell you that, James. Yeah, overall, like, do you have any expectation for the plot line in general for the full season?
I personally hope they really do away with the parallel worlds.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
I don't see how it can be done well. And it's so random and it never really comes up again in the series, like the idea of parallel worlds.
Right.
It's briefly mentioned a few times, but I don't see the point in that. It was cool in the books, and when you read into it, it's like kind of cool, but I don't necessarily see how it would do well on TV. And I would be incredibly surprised if they introduced it.
Yeah, I think every time we're using a portal stone in the books, it's going to be replaced by a Waygate. They have some cool Waygates and they love them very much. They're going to reuse them a lot more.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's just, it seems like Robert Jordan introduced, oh boy, that's going to piss some people off. It seemed like Robert Jordan introduced this alternate worlds for the purpose of introducing the idea of alternative worlds.
Yeah.
Because he just had so many ideas. And by the time we got the Sindal, the White Tower thingy, and the Tellurian, the Dream World.
Teleran Riyadh?
Yeah, that one. The Dream World.
The judgment on James' face?
I know.
Wow.
I'm going back to like the episode before, I think it was episode 10, where you were just like a dumbass and you were like, who dis? And I'm like, you stupid bitch.
And this is why I mock James for their pronunciation.
Because it's the only thing you have on me, you stupid cunt.
Anyway, can we go back to the topic?
Wow.
Oh yeah, sure. What were we talking about again?
The plots. Anyways, I think that was always going to be something that should be cut, is the parallel worlds, because they don't come up again. And with the limited time we have in the season, there's just so much more to get into. But as far as my hopes, I hope we're going to get a bit closer to the novels in terms of the storyline and the plot. I appreciate why they did what they did don't roll your eyes at me.
No, I'm curious. I'm like, what do you mean by plot? Like,
What plot?
I'm genuinely asking, like, how did they deviate from the plot?
I want to see the books get a bit the show get a bit closer to the plot in terms of where people are and the major beats, because for the most part they followed that, but some of the ways in which the season unfolded got away from the books, which was fun with me. It actually worked really well. I'm fine that we didn't go to Camelin, and I think actually the way that Logain's trial or his being carried into Tar Valon really worked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was a very good show, a loose adaptation, and I kind of just want to see some of the bigger scenes from the books, I guess. Like I want to see the traveling to Tar Valon, and I want to see the learning and the kidnapping, and I want to see Liandrin's not the kidnapping, I don't know. Are the ladies kidnapped?
They're kidnapped.
Yeah.
In book 2, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Eye of the World was very repetitive and derivative on purpose of past fantasy novels, especially Lord of the Rings, with its villagers leaving a small town. And I think it was the book where deviating from the plot was a good thing. And I think there's a lot of good plot points in books 2 and 3 that I'd love to see. Sorry, Kimmy was raising their hand.
I'm sorry, but like book 2 and book 3, the ending is exactly like it's always the same thing for 3 books. They travel, they go, they travel, they split, they go back together at the end of it.
I'm not saying I want to see nothing but traveling.
And to me, I'm sorry, but to me, the first season is actually pretty close in terms of beats and plots to the books. Like, yes, they miss. Like the thing is that maybe it's a difference between, I don't know, story and plots. I don't know, this kind of thing. But like, you basically have a group of people living from a village and being separated at some point, finding each other again at another point, and then traveling through the ways, and then meeting at Falda, and then going at Falda, and then going to the Eyes, and then coming back.
Right.
It's pretty much the summary of the first book. I would say that the summary of the first book and the summary of the first season are pretty much the same. But one thing that I also wanted to say is that I would be actually very fine for the show to get further and further away from the plot, because the plot doesn't fucking make sense most of the time in those books. We have characters that disappeared for 2 books. We have succession of events that are just not feasible for a TV show, and I want a bit more of a consistency.
Okay, well, maybe I should have said, and this is my fault because I'm the writer of the group. There's a difference between plot and story.
Yeah.
And I want to see more story from the books. I'm fine with plot deviations because, yes, Camille is correct. And I even said this on Twitter, that all the major plot points, the necessary plot points that get us to where we have to go, are there. So I want to see more story adapted directly from the books, because there are a lot of individual scenes that when you take away that we're constantly traveling, when you take away that part, like there are story beats that I want to see, like the villages, like the chase with Padon Fane.
Right.
I want those scenes of horror elements, if that makes sense. So plot-wise, I think it actually would be a good idea to merge 2 and 3. But as far as like scenes, I would like to see a bit more story from the books.
Yeah, I am actually very excited that we got to see the fade on the door, because that's a scene in the books that is very neat, when you get Padon Fane that is crazy enough to actually nail a fade to a door, and then you get like Perrin and the group that finds that. I really like that scene, so I'm very excited about that. It's an iconic moment.
It is.
I think it's maybe that we may want to see a bit more iconic moment from the books.
Yeah, like it's I was, just to go back, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but like the Battle of Falma is one of my favorite moments in the series in general. It was the moment where it clicked in my head, like, oh, this is a series that I really, really like. This is like, I had characters that I liked a lot. But it was at that moment because there were so many pieces, different pieces coming together and different plot lines that connected and sort of came together. And it just felt so cinematic reading it. And I would love to see that. And for that, something like that, especially something so iconic, I agree with you, Matt. I would like it to be a little bit more story, like true to the story, like a little bit closer to how it happens. I don't mind them changing bits and pieces to make it work because I understand you can't, there are some things you can do in books that just don't work in TV. Right. It just doesn't. And so I'm fine with them changing things like that. But like the essence of that moment, the essence of like, like you were talking about with the horror elements, like I really want to see more like scene for scene almost parallels because it's really cool. And it's exciting for us book fans to see them, where like you read it in the book and then you get to see it on screen and you're like, oh my God, this is how I imagined it, Yeah.
But it's never going to be how you imagine it.
Of course not.
Right. That's the thing.
Not exactly.
I think that's the problem I'm having because I don't care for people that like are insistent that things look exactly or that the important story bits are there for them because it's not just for them.
Right.
Like I do think they're cool, but I guess, and I understand being disappointed. It's an adaptation.
Yes.
Like there were plenty of scenes from season 1 or from The Eye of the World that didn't make it into season 1 that I like truly love. Like, and I personally did not care for like the telling of Manetheren in the show. I know a lot of people loved it. I would have really preferred like Moiraine being like a huge badass in front of all of the Daemon's Fielders in front of the Winespring Inn because that was like the iconic moment for me. But it's an adaptation. So like, and in season 2 specifically, in book 2, like I would love to see Siuan trying to teach Nynaeve how to channel and then like throwing her against a fucking wall of the boat. But that's probably not going to happen. No. And that doesn't mean it's any less of an iconic moment for me. No. I just don't, if it doesn't happen in the show, that's not going to take away from my enjoyment of the show.
Yeah.
I think it's valid that people be disappointed that their favorite scene don't make it in. Like, as long as you're not being toxic and whiny about it.
For
but
sure.
like,
Right, but the line between I don't like it and saying it one time and repeatedly saying it until someone commiserates with you and you make that your entire personality.
Well, we're not all Rodney.
That's a real slippery slope.
We're not all Rodney. No, and this is the last point I'm going to make, that yes, it's an adaptation. And again, I should have led with I would like to see more story elements from the books, and the plot can do what it does because I trust Rafe with the plot.
Yeah.
But there are some story elements that could happen in like the scene with the Fade. Let's say, the scene with the Fade. Maybe it doesn't happen exactly where it happens in the show as opposed to where it happened in the books. Maybe it's not the same character seeing it, but the essence of that scene is there to where you could say it's not a word for word adaptation, but it's, in the word adaptation again, it's a very not strict adaptation, close. It's a very close adaptation. That's the word I was looking for. And I do want to see more of that. And I don't think that it's necessarily, when you adapt things, the medium always commands how much you adapt loosely and how much you adapt closely. And I think that it's not unreasonable to ask for a few scenes, at least, which are very close adaptations of those iconic scenes in the book, just to give us, just to make us happy and just to give us that special. And of course, it's never going to be what you imagine. Like, I've seen adaptations of books that, the scene wasn't what I imagined, but it still contained the essence of that story and of that scene. And I hope I'm making sense. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say about the nature of adaptations. And
so if I understand well, we want as book reader to be able to be that meme. Oh, I know that reference.
Yeah, basically.
I understood that reference.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
It's whether it's Easter egg or like real element of the book that directly appears. We want those moments of, oh, I know where that is from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was just thinking when James mentioned, the scene where Siuan is teaching Nynaeve how to channel, and Nynaeve ends up throwing her up against the wall, and they were on a boat at that time, right? Am I remembering that
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, like the essence of that could still happen.
Mm-hmm.
That could still be a thing that happens in season 2. The difference will just be that it happens at the tower instead of on the boat.
Right.
But like the same idea, because like, I mean, they may already be setting up their sort of dynamic, because you have that great moment with Nynaeve and Egwene in Swan's office, and Nynaeve is instantly
Mm-hmm.
like, automatically argumentative and like just not about it. And Swan just looking at her like, oh, interesting. Okay. And looking at Moiraine like, this is what we're dealing with here. And it would be a cool way to sort of link those two moments, but in a way that is that book fans will recognize, because that moment is also one of my favorites. And it would be, if they kept the essence of it, but did it in a slightly different way, that would be a really cool thing, I think, for a lot of book fans.
Yeah.
I agree.
One thing that I'm hopeful for is, so when you look at the books, the R5 from the Two Rivers, they see each other a lot in the first book, and then they got separated. They got back together at the end of the first book. They get back together at the end of the second book. They get back together at the end of the third book. And then it's pretty much the last time it happens. And I know that starting from season 3, we already know it's going to be more of the Shadow Rising plot. So I'm not hopeful that we're going to get any sort of reunion between all of them after that. So I'm not going to say I want. I'm hopeful for some moment where we get to see them all together, especially since Matt's abrupt departure in the first season kind of
sucked.
Cut that from us.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
I'm hopeful for that too. Like I really hope we get to see that.
Yeah.
And I have no reason to believe that we won't, because we have time. We have there's the battle at Falme, and there's the scene in the tier, not the tier, in tier, and that battle, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
You want to know my theory about tier?
Yes.
I don't know if I mentioned it with you guys. So because the complicated thing about merging book 2 and book 3 is that they both end by a very big battle in a very different place. And Tyr, the main purpose of Tyr, the reason why Rand goes to that is to get Kalandor. What I'm curious about is whether the Tyr, like getting Kalandor, could happen after Dumas Vale. Because, so the thing is that Rand, if he's meeting Ziail at the end, like with the Battle of Alma and a bit before, he's probably going to go to Redon and follow like the Shadow Rising thing. And then there's going to be a bunch of things. He's going to lose his mentor, and then he's going to get like captured, and he's going to be starting his dark phase. And what a dark character needs in that case, something to make it powerful enough that he's never going to get captured ever again, which gives him a motivation to go to Tyr to capture Kalandor. And then Kalandor wouldn't just disappear for many seasons, because then he would directly try to use it to gain Ilian or any other city where the Forsaken is.
I like that theory.
I like this too.
And it would be very interesting to have Dark Rand capturing Tyr.
Where he's already flipped, like he's already had that sort of
it's
switch.
already on his stone pass.
Yeah, he's starting the spiral has already started. And so,
Darth Rand, I can make him worse.
I've been trying to make up my mind, or they could merge those two books, and the only things that I see without getting fully rid of one of those two battles is to move one of them later in the plots.
Yeah, I agree. And they're not, and I am positive that they're going to go to Tyr at some point, or their plans are to go to Tyr at some point in the show, because they've already made a reference to it. Like it's already been referenced in the show. If they had no interest in going there or like featuring it, they wouldn't have. I don't think they would have bothered. But it's been pretty significantly mentioned in the show, so they're gonna go there at some point. I totally agree with you though, Camille. I like this theory. I like this. This is good.
I agree.
We've talked about Aemon 5. What other character would you guys want to get to know more about?
I'm just really excited for Elias in season 2 because he's like my favorite season 1 character.
Yeah.
That's not one of the main. He's my favorite book 1 non-main character.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see Daddy Elias.
Varen.
Oh yes, Varen too.
Oh my God. Rafe, I'm just going to take a second here. Rafe, if you're listening, can you please put us out of our misery and drop the casting for Varen and then also Elida? Please and thank you. I need those for reasons. I am not going to go into them right now. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes. Since James mentioned Elias, I am very curious about whether his role is going to be expanded because that's typically a character that shows up and disappears and shows up and disappears.
Yeah.
And I want more of him.
Me too. I feel like there's a pretty decent chance for his role to be expanded, just because of the differences with Perrin and how he's been adapted for the show. I think Perrin needs a mentor and someone who's going to be sort of more of a constant figure in his life. I mean, obviously, like Elias is a no-brainer for that. I think he fits into that role really well.
James has stepped away, but I'm sure if James was here, they would say that Perrin needs a daddy and that Elias could fill that role.
No. I don't like that. That's disgusting. I want Elias to exist, but I do not think that Elias and Perrin should be a sexual relationship, even like a little bit. Like that's a sacred, like, I was going to say mother-daughter relationship, but I'm just warm and delirious. It's a sacred, like, teacher-student relationship. So it should not be sexual.
I just thought about something because there's actually two persons that hang out a lot with Perrin. There's Elias and Loial. And maybe the show is going to be emphasizing more about Loial being that peaceful part and Elias more violent on the violent side, like because one is a wolf and the other one's the Ogier.
Love it.
One of the things that I really want to see that is, I know I want to do away with portal worlds, but I also want to do it with like keep Ogier tree singing, and they matter about the same. I guess just because I think it would be cool.
Yeah,
and it would be easy to include.
Yeah, a tree singing would be amazing to see.
I would love it. And I think it's super doable. It would look good.
Yeah.
Also, him making an axe in the portal world was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't an axe, it was a staff.
The staff, yes.
Staff.
Yeah, meanwhile, one character that I want to get more of is obviously Moiraine. Because one thing that I regret about the books is that Moiraine has this fancy background and is related to a bunch of our main character, like she's basically Elaine's and Gawain's and Galad's aunt, and it's never freaking mentioned. And I'm like, Jordan, you made this complicated as fuck genealogy tree, and you're not even using it?
Did nothing with it.
Do something.
I mean, they at least, like, Galad and Rand had that moment.
They did.
But you're right, like Moiraine being related because Moiraine wanted to like completely do away with the fact that she was a Damodred. So
I want Moiraine and Galad to have a scene together where he's like, "Oh, my gay aunt's in town. I'm gonna come out to her and tell her that I'm gay and join the White Cloaks and shit."
Okay.
His gay aunt Moiraine takes him out to a gay bar for the first time.
There you go.
Yeah. She better do that. I'm actually like I kind of saying that Jordan actually didn't really know Moiraine was Elaine's aunt until later in the series because we don't know Moraine's last name for a while. I think we only find it out in the Shadow Rising because she's like probably saying like, let's not tell the Aiel that my last name is Damodred.
Smart.
Moiraine was sweating for multiple reasons when she was with the Aiel. She was
absolutely.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I want more Damodred drama.
Yeah.
Damadrama.
Damadrama. Yeah. Yeah.
Dramadred.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not listed until the Shadow Rising chapter 1. Okay. I did not realize that.
Yeah. I just want Moiraine to be bamboozled. I want Moiraine to be like confronted. She's been running so long from her family and just to be confronted with like memories and all of that stuff. And just she can't escape it because it's a place that she needs to be in order to help Rand or whatever the case is. And her just like very obviously not wanting to be there, but also like, I guess I have to deal with family trauma.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think Moraine is pretty well removed from it. I don't know. I would be curious to see how it goes. I don't have strong opinions either way.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to see more Moraine. Not action, that's the wrong word. I would like to see more Moraine's background if it is relevant in the show, because unfortunately the show does not have 20 episodes and we don't have time for a whole episode dedicated to Moraine's background.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it. I really would. And Camille mentioned the Aiel, and I'd love to see, like, I just can't wait. Like, they look badass and they look amazing, but I also kind of want some nuance to the Aiel. And I know that Camille has some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, because so the thing is that the Aiel really feel like the civilizations that is very much idealized by the fandom in general. But like they trade slave, which like similar to the Ascension, like. And I'm not talking about, is it called the Gaishen or something like that? Gaishen. Yeah. I'm talking about them taking any Carrinan traveler that goes through the waste and selling them to like that other country on the other side of the waste.
Yeah.
Shara.
Yeah.
They have a lot of ethnocentry in a sense. Like they are assuming that everyone must know their customs. Yep. And they don't get when people, like, they make fun of people trying to understand their custom, but they also don't explain any of their custom to people who are not born into that.
I agree. We really do, as a fandom, idolize the Aiel. We actually, it's more than that, we romanticize them. And
yes,
this is a phenomenon that is not unique to fiction. We romanticize other cultures. And there's often this dichotomy with cultures that are othered. You see them depicted as lesser, as deserving to be conquered, etc. Or you see them in a romanticized way, and there's not really an in-between. And I think that's the way that a lot of people view the Aiel. And there's some irony there, because in the books, there are Carhinians romanticizing Aiel lifestyles and Aiel customs and appropriating it in just bizarre ways.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that fans are appropriating Aiel custom because you can't appropriate something that's totally fiction.
Right.
But there's sort of a parallel there to where how the Aiel have become so romanticized. And it's probably because our main Aiel characters are Gaul, Bane and Chiad, and Avienda. And they're amazing. And they should be romanticized, especially Gaul with Perrin.
I read recently a theory, like not really a theory, but a parallel that made me think a lot about, the Karenin adapting, like trying to imitate the culture of Aiel. And it was in another Discord, and it was someone making a comparison with Japan post-World War II. In the sense that Japan, before the Second War, has this idea that they were like the most noble culture in the world. Maybe not noble, but like they had very high opinion of their own culture, and then they got defeated by the US. So they had kind of this romanticization of the US, because if they got to beat them, they then must be like very important, and started to imitate a bit this culture for, I don't know how long, but for some times. And it kind of like Karenin being defeated by the Aiel, and then trying to figure out what's really significant about this culture, because after all, if they defeated them, they must have something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. That's a really interesting point. I've never thought of that before, but yeah, it's I agree about the Aiel though. Like they're a fascinating culture in a lot of ways. There are lots of things that I love about them, but they are brutal in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, like
Right.
there's a lot of brutality to the Aiel, and I hope that they show both sides, because like,
Well, people also romanticize the brutality of it.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
They're ableist as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
No, like they make excuses for it because like fans make excuses for it, not out of like romanticizing it, but because they like fully accept it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, they should be like that. Like, look how they were
Right.
treated. And I'm like,
That's not an excuse.
regardless of the way you were treated, you don't like sell someone.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of that is projecting onto real world issues, but that's another can of worms.
For sure. We can't get into that. A very good topic, but
Mm-hmm.
if we got into that today,
Maybe one day we need an episode on just the Aiel. But yeah, it's a civilization
Yeah.
that I like, but I wish that it would be as controversial as any other civilization in the fandom.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree.
I think we should talk maybe before we wrap up. I want to talk a little bit about the White Tower and what we want to see in season 2.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know Kat has thoughts, and I also have some
Yes.
very strong thoughts on this because I
Yes.
love what we saw of the White Tower in season
Mhm.
1,
Yes.
and I just want to see so much more.
I want more. I mean, so a lot of my stuff is kind of centered around Nynaeve, surprising no one. But just to speak, I guess, in a general sense first, I loved, like James said, I loved what we saw in season 1. I think it set a really good foundation for the expanded sort of view we're going to get into Tower life in season 2. I want to see the lessons. I want to see the like hierarchy. Like we kind of got a glimpse of that, but just like this weird hierarchy that they have, where like someone could be significantly older or have been a sister for a longer time, but because they're weaker in the power than another, they're, it's just this weird sort of power structure and power dynamics within it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that played out on screen and seeing just how messy it is, because, they kind of established this a bit with Maureen in season 1, where like Aes Sedai are like, they are calm and serene and they have their shit together. And it's not until you get into the tower where you realize like,
Oops.
okay, oops, still kind of messy, still kind of fucked up. But this specifically about Nynaeve and her block, I'm interested to see how they're going to tackle it, because I think the route that they're going is from the way that episode 8 ended. We kind of saw glimpses of it a bit, where Nynaeve wasn't able to listen to the wind. And then with the way that she, she didn't die, but she was on the brink of death and then was brought back and saw very closely how powerful the One Power is. And I can see that for show Nynaeve being like that is the basis of her block in the show, which I think could be really cool. Because in the book it works a little bit differently, but I think for the show that could work actually really well. And so I'm interested to see how they're going to adapt that.
And interestingly, in our last episode, we talked about tropes and changing her block to fuck these Aes Sedai bitches. I refuse to channel. I can't do it when I'm around them because I don't trust these bitches is a way to get around angry black woman.
Yep, 100%.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
It's more viable in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, angry Nynaeve is just, it's cute and comedic, but it doesn't feel real.
No.
It feels like, LOL, she has to be pissed off and she has to think about like all of the injustices in the world just to do something.
Right.
It's very surface level.
Yeah.
But to make it more ingrained in who she is, like with her mentor being turned away and then going, I don't know if she like, the assumption there is that her mentor, the previous wisdom or whatever, like lost control or something because she wasn't trained.
Yeah, I believe so.
She already hates the Aes Sedai for that. She was used by someone who went through tower training. She hates Moraine.
Yep.
Siuan is like, you're the strongest person in the entire world. And she's just like, literally, I'm not going to be your puppet. Fuck you. I refuse. Yep. And she creates that mental barrier. So she has to accept the One Power and accept the White Tower. That's so much more real of a block.
So much more real. And I agree, it makes so much more sense. I would argue, I think it would have made sense to do it that way in the books instead of You know, like it's because it's in the books, Nynaeve comes off as very two-dimensional a lot of the time, which is unfortunate because I love her character and she has a lot of good, real, like fleshed out moments. But when she's angry in the books, it just comes off as like, well, why?
Hulk smash. It comes off as Hulk smash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no real reason behind it. And it's funny, like, you know, it's like, haha, funny. Nynaeve's angry. It's frustrating, though, because, like, I feel like even in the books, they had enough there to give, like, legitimacy to her frustration. And then Jordan didn't do that.
Well, and there are multiple scenes where she's, like, forcing herself to get angry, and it just feels so silly.
It feels silly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on. We can do better than this. But like now with this, like it's her whole foundation for, you know, like how she's interacting with Aes Sedai. It's rooted in her mentor going through a really shitty, or what her mentor has told her is a really shitty thing. Because I suspect that the way that her mentor described it is not actually how it happened. But that doesn't matter to Nynaeve. That's what she's been told. Why would she believe anything other than what her mentor has told her? And yeah, like it makes complete sense. And so I think that's the route they're going, and I hope that's the route they're going, because I think to do anything other than that would just not make sense. Like if it's just purely based in anger, angry Black woman trope, and then also it's silly, you know?
Yeah, if they could get rid of that trope, that would be nice. And also the less of, oh, you must submit instead of being angry.
Yeah.
That would be nice too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
If they could get rid of... Can they just change the way that, like, Saidar and Saidin work? Like, in that sense, we're like, you know, is that going too far? Because I would be fine with that.
I mean, so far, they don't really explain how you access to the source. You just have this explanation from Ishamael, which could be the same for everyone. We know that Saidin, like, since we know now that the Wheel of Time origins are show canon, stop making fun of me. I'm trying to make my English make sense.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the Wheel of Time not dropping that today.
Oh yeah, but like I'm fine with that. But like the thing is that they already explained Saidin versus Saidar and this kind of angry river versus like quiet one.
Right. Beautiful blossom.
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda. But that doesn't mean that the way you access it should be different.
Right.
Who knows? We'll see what they do.
Yeah.
And we're going to have future episodes.
Oh, for sure.
On the Wheel of Time origins. So
yeah. One thing that I wanted to mention about the White Tower is that one big source of disappointment that I have with the books is that they have this big coup in the Shadow Rising, and there's no fucking setup for that. Like we got one scene where Elida is suspicious of Swan, and then she go talk to Ivorin. And next time we're in the tower, it's a coup.
Yeah.
Wait, this isn't a pronunciation thing?
Coup.
This isn't a pronunciation thing?
Coup.
But no, I was literally wondering, like, do you pronounce it coup in French?
C'est un coup d'état. I actually...
Coup d'état?
No, but is that also with a P at the end of it? I don't know.
Oh.
Because the word we use in English is just the French word.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
The thing is that sometimes you are, like in English, you are reusing French word, but pronouncing it in a very different way.
Right.
And like in France, it's common to not pronounce some certain letters. In English, it's a bit less common.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because, like...
No, it's un coup d'état.
It's not coup. Coup d'état. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, just curious.
We went through a coup, and I don't even know how to say it.
No, they kind of hinted at it with Liandrin.
Yes.
And that I like how they did that, weaving more of that into the story about how people aren't happy with Suan. I would love it.
Yeah. I think they've already kind of set it up better than the books have, because we have Liandrin. They've mentioned already that I think what's her name, Alana, mentioned to Moiraine that Swan is losing, you know, like she's losing her grip. She's like, they've already kind of referenced how shaky Swan's rule is right now. And so I feel like they're already doing a better job than the books did with setting up that whole sort of plot point there, which is cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the entire, like, meltdown, even if it was fake, that Suwon had in episode 6, where she was like, this is my world and my tower. And I was just like, girl, are you okay?
That's going to come back and bite her in the ass. Ooh, that's going to be...
I loved it.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
And also, like, Moraine Exile. I am sorry to say, but, like, the Blue may not support Swans like, as well as they used to.
Yeah, exactly. I really like what they've set up in season 1 and the potential threads that we can see carry through into season 2 and beyond. Because, like, they've set quite a few things in motion just with, like, the episode 5 and 6 alone. They've set quite a few different, like, pretty big plot threads in motion. And I'm really, really interested to see how they follow through with that in season 2 and beyond.
I think one thing we wanting to mention still was Ascension.
The Seanchan, yes.
Because we got a glimpse of them at the end of the 8th episode 8.
Where they fucked up that little girl.
We're gonna see them a lot more in season 2, and I want to be scared.
Oh, yes.
I am so excited for how terrifying they're gonna be.
That little girl, she was a serial killer, okay? You don't understand. You don't understand what she did to my family, okay? She had it coming. And we'd do it again, too, if we could.
She had it coming. She had it coming. She only got herself to blame. If you'd have
seen it. If you'd have been
I
there.
bet you would have done the same. Killed that little girl, sandcastles.
Sanchan. Let's discuss the Sanchan.
Seanchan Tango.
God.
But no, I want to see the Seanchan be terrifying because they're so not terrifying in the books for a long time.
Yes.
And even when they are terrifying, they're terrifying a little bit because they take slaves. But mostly they're terrifying because they use the one power as a weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying. But also, like, I think they're going to amp up the brutality a lot. And I'm excited for that.
Make them their worst. Make them the colonizers they should always have been. Like, I want them to lean completely into them being colonizers because that's what they are. And there's really no way around it.
Yeah.
I really want Rafe to sneak in like a Christopher Columbus reference somewhere.
Ooh. I would love that. People would lose their fucking minds, but I would love it.
And I would be like, you know what? Yes, that is woke, but I'm for it.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm actually very optimistic about their villain in general because the White Cloak were terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, maybe.
And the White Cloaks were like, they're low-level villains. Like, they're child's play compared to what happens later on. And so, like, you know,
There's the bad guys that your D&D party meet when they're level 1.
100.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the Seanchan in the books are more terrifying than any of the Forsaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I agree.
So if they're amping up the White Cloaks, they're amping up the Seanchan, those Forsaken. Like,
they gotta.
I am excited.
Go full on. It's like, I mean, when Samaraj shows up, I want to be both aroused and terrified. That's the vibe.
Like, you're going to need to put down a towel,
yes,
but you don't know if you're going to be wet out of fear or arousal.
Yeah. Who knows?
But either way, you're going to need a new couch.
Either way.
So many regrets.
For once, it's you.
I'm allowed to do one. I can't do one.
It wasn't you. It wasn't you, Kat, so much as it was James's elaborations.
Either way, you're going to need a new couch. Title of the episode.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I can agree to that if we move.
Yes, it is.
But it's still not something you proposed, Kat. It's James saying it.
I was the reason that it happened, though.
We'll see.
You were the inspiration.
I was the inspiration. Thank you.
Okay. Camille, what's your game?
Yes, the game.
So, basically, I am sharing something right now that I'll share later on. And basically, you are my test team in a sense that I'm going to MalkyReCon in 10 days and I'm doing a queer panel there. And the game is to make season 2 even queerer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically we took a bunch of scenes from book 2 and book 3, and I'm gonna spin the wheel, and the game is just to make that scene gayer. So we're gonna see if you actually like that game, or if I have to work more on that before my MalkyReCon. Okay, so our first option is It's when the scene where Perrin is rescuing Goal.
All right, so
I already did this in that previous when we made Perrin gay.
I'll do this one then. So Perrin is Gaul's up in the cage, and Perrin is like, "Oh, I gotta save this Aiel person," and so he's like helping Gaul out, but the cage is like elevated, right? So Perrin doesn't know how to work the latch. So when he finally does get it open, he opens it wrong and causes Gaul to fall out. And Gaul falls on top of him and lands on Perrin, and they're face to face with each other. And they're both really sweaty. And there's a lingering gaze for a moment as Gaul is just so grateful to be freed. And Perrin is just starstruck, and their eyes linger on one another for way too long. And then there's some awkward coughing and some manly grunting and attempts to disentangle themselves. And so goes my scene.
I love it.
That was gay porn.
Thank you.
Gay porn.
It was impressive. It was good.
Which one is that one? Oh, that scene that James don't like, the mirror world.
I don't dislike it. I just don't think it should show up in season 2.
Then make James do it.
I actually have an idea for that one.
Yeah, you do it.
It's
because I don't know how to make this gayer.
Mm-hmm.
Hurin, how do you say that? His name Hurin.
Hurin.
Either way, I think.
Hurin. Instead of being, you gender swap him, so he's a woman instead, and is even more attracted to Lanfear than any other people around. And that's the awkward flirting. So basically, Hurin is me, with Lanfear nearby and not being able to do shit because, a big lesbian mess.
Yeah, a big lesbian mess.
A big sapphic mess.
A big sapphic mess.
Exactly.
Are you even sapphic, though?
Anyway, do you guys want? We could do.
Let's do a couple more.
A couple more.
One for each of us.
4-second meetup in Tel'aran'rhiod Yod. So that is in book 3.
It starts as an orgy.
It starts. I was gonna say it starts as an orgy.
It starts as an orgy, and then they're like, "Okay, cool, we got that out of the way. We've been waiting 3,000 years. You bottomed last time. I'm glad I got to bottom this time for that Tel'aran'rhiod Odyssey."
Tel'aran'rhiod Odyssey. Okay, that's a long word.
Just started out as an orgy.
Say it once more. Tel'aran'rhiod Russi?
You see?
No, Tel'aran'rhiod Odyssey. Rihanna.
Oh God. Oh no, I can't say that. That is a mouthful.
I am not going to try.
Much like the orgy. A mouthful.
Much like Samael's dick.
Okay, last one, and then it's bedtime for me.
Specifically Samael, short and squat.
And thick. Okay.
Well.
What type of sword tuning?
So it's the thing is Lan and Rand's sword training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious how this goes.
Yeah. I don't think we need to elaborate on it, really. I think this is pretty...
But the question about this one is...
How to make it even gayer?
How far does Rand have to run when Nynaeve finds out?
Well, this is the thing.
That's the real question.
This is the thing.
And has she overcome her block?
Oh, well, she's like in front of my salad.
I mean, she doesn't need that.
It's true.
She does need the one power to whoop his ass.
Oh, that's a good point.
She's been whooping his ass without the one power for 20 years.
Do you guys want to do last one, or that's it? Well, I think it's fine.
I'm
to
happy
stop
to
there.
do one more, and then
One
you can
more.
go to
One
bed.
more.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is Matt and Julian in the Stone of Tear.
That's season 2. Oh, that's book 3. Never mind.
That's book 3.
Yes. Yeah, that's book
That's
3.
the end of book 3.
Isn't it like them sneaking into like the holes in the dome and stuff?
I mean, we already have mention of holes, so.
I mean, Matt make a big hole in the Stone of Tear. He's using a bunch of explosive to...
A glory hole?
oh, fuck.
Kat, you're being rather naughty tonight.
What? What did I say?
It's okay. I'm not being very naughty, so one of us has to take up the mantle.
And it's clearly going to be Kat, not me.
Okay, you're being vulgar and crass. That's the difference between being that and
Oh,
naughty.
thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, it's the scene where Matt and Julien gets into the Stone of Tear to rescue Nynaeve, Elaine, and Egwene.
You're right. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Glory hole is the only thing I thought of, and I don't know if that works in this case.
I'm just going to say they fall on each other, and Julian realizes that it's not Matt's quarterstaff that's poking him.
Oh.
Oh, fuck. Maybe that game was not a good idea.
And Julian realizes that he doesn't mind.
Okay, we're gonna stop here because it's way too late for me.
Yeah, we've really run way over.
All right. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Queers of Time podcast. If you liked our show, please give us a review on Apple Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Queers of Time, as well as our Discord server. If you're able, we would love to have your support through Patreon. We've got a lot of nice benefits over there, and it helps us cover the costs of producing this podcast. Also, you will get a shiny sticker when you support us, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yo.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.